everyone, welcome back to Beekeeping with Natalie, or welcome to if you are new. Today's video, it's actually been a minute since we've last filmed. We tried a couple of days ago to come over to this yard and film, and we forgot SD cards, or I didn't forget. My mom forgot that, but I guess it was my fault because I had all of them with me. So anyway, moving on. So today's video is just going to kind of be a hive inspection. We're just going to check, see what's going on, kind of explain what this time of the year just looks like. I try to post my videos as soon as possible, so this will hopefully go up tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, so it'll just be the day before. So this is not same day, but really close. This is just kind of what our season is looking like right now. It's a little chilly outside. I have a hoodie on, but I'm actually sweating. So the weather's okay, but during the night, it gets down to the 40s. I think we've seen the 30s once. And then it doesn't really warm up till noon-ish. So it's just now starting to warm up a little bit. But I wanted to go through some of these hives and just show what they're looking like and what we're doing this time of the year. So here you can see they've got, they have propolized this like crazy. This is all propolis right here. This just shows you how much our bees make propolis. It's insane. Especially this time of year. I heard somebody say this time of year is really bad because they don't really have anything else to do, so they end up just propolizing everything. And I don't know if you can tell, but just by looking at this Apogard strip, is this Apogard? Yeah, card right here, it's insane amount of propolis. This is actually this kind of propolis right here is really good to, if you just take a little piece and roll it into a ball and then put it under your tongue or on the side of your mouth right here, it can help with just kind of any little sickness you might have. But note to self, don't actually pull it off of these little Apogard strips or else you're going to taste Apogard. I had somebody in my comment section when I did the Apogard video saying that he's tried Apogard before. If you're watching this, so sorry that I'm talking about this in a video. He said that he knows what Apogard tastes like and it's not good or whatever. And I was thinking, that's so weird. How can that even happen? And then it happened to my dad. He took the propolis and off of an Apogard strip, put it in his mouth, and then it was on video too. And he just had to play it off. Anyway, so a couple days ago when we tried to film this video, actually, we went ahead and fed that day. So I believe we did all feeders in frame feeders because it's not cold enough that we can't use them. Usually towards the winter time when it's starting to get really cold and they can't really handle it, we don't do frame feeders very much just because that syrup gets really cold and they end up freezing in it. So right now we're able to do it, but here in a couple months we won't be able to. We're also just kind of transitioning over to buckets because of that. Now, one of the things about this time of year is just really building them up and making sure that they have plenty of food going into winter, especially those singles that we use as single brood during the honey flow season. We put a double on them and now we're trying to build them up still a little bit. They should be about there, but there's just little ones like this frame right here. It's full over here, but empty on this side, so we're just gonna try and fill it up. They probably won't build this out anymore. It's about over for them to start building this, but if they can fill it up a little bit more, that would be good. But like I said, we did fill up their frame feeders a couple of days ago and this is completely empty. I filled it up all the way to the top pretty much. It looks like they're already going through it. And then here's a solid frame of food. We've got a little bit of pollen in here and then it's just chock full of food on both sides, it looks like. So that looks good. I'm not expecting to see brood patterns insane. I'm definitely not expecting to see it up in the top box either. If I want to find the queen or anything like that, I'm most likely going to have to go to the bottom box, which I haven't done in a little while. But yeah, this top box is just going to be chock full of food and that looks really good. This is what the next frame looks like also. So these ladies look really good. Another thing is this time of year, just something to go off of. Your top box should be about it's 70 or 80 pounds, I believe. And hopefully that's what most of our hives are going to look like going into winter. That's not always the case, but with our production colonies, we want to make sure that that's what they're looking like, just to make sure that they really do get through winter. Of course, there's always that chance they're not going to make it, but also just because they don't weigh that much doesn't mean they're not going to make it through winter, because we overwinter a lot of 5 frame nukes and they always do pretty good. That's also the time of year that we'll end up doing double screen boards, and those are great for those small colonies that maybe you have like a Corey Stevens queen or whatever, some queen that you really want her to make it through winter, but the hive isn't just doing very good and they don't have enough bees to really make it through over winter. That's when you can do a double screen board. That way you don't have to do any kind of combining, but they still will have a better survival chance if you do that double screen board. Bob Benny has a lot of really good videos on that. So this just shows solid frame of food. So like in the summertime, I want this to be a solid frame of brood, and in the winter, it's food. So that just kind of shows how we're transitioning over and what they're looking like. I would like to get into the bottom box today, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to lift it. So I don't know if I'm going to even try. But this Propolis is insane. So yeah, this just shows how much food. There's a little bit of brood. There's just a tiny little patch right there. Yeah, really, really small. There's, I think, like 5 right there. Okay, so then I'm going to talk about feeding here. Now, like I said, we're transitioning over to bucket feeding. Those are like the 2 main ones that we use over the whole year is frame feeding and bucket feeding. I personally really like bucket feeding. It's just really easy. You can prepare it ahead of time, especially if you have a lot of out yards. You can prepare it at home and then put all of it in your truck and then go over to the hives, and you don't even have to get into the hive or open them up. All it is taking out this mason jar lid here. And if you're looking for these plugs, these mason jar lids, the Amish, if you have an Amish store anywhere around you, they usually sell them really, like we sell them, or ours sells them in bulk. That's where we get them. You can also collect them over time, but they're not like the 2-piece, they're just like the solid 1-piece there. And so that's what we use to plug the holes. And then this just, I don't know, I think we got these, we've gotten our buckets from a bunch of different places at this point, but they just work really well. They're a little dirty, as you can see. They were sitting in some water, so we've had to clean them out. That is the only thing about buckets that is a pain, is cleaning them can be really annoying, because if they sit on top of a hive for a while, that syrup's gonna go bad and then it's gonna get moldy inside. And I haven't found the best way to really clean buckets yet. My mom does a lot of it, actually, but
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. But one of the things about buckets is this the whole lid right here, once it goes on that first time, it never comes off, because that seal is going to be really easy to like slowly tear and just kind of break over time. So once this lid goes on, it never comes off. But the plugs in here, those are what we're going to take on and off to fill up the buckets. So that's why cleaning them can be kind of difficult, because you only have this small hole to get your soap into or whatever it is. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and feed. I'm not gonna get into the bottom box and check how they're looking, just because I don't think I'm gonna be able to lift it. But the last couple of weeks we have been just checking, seeing how they're looking. We're gonna combine this time of year. It's to the point where it's too late to try and get your hives like built up for winter. At this point, you're just keeping them built up. So like if we have any like little 5-frame nukes that we want to build up into a single, it's pretty much too late for that around here. There's really nothing out there right now. I think there's aster, I believe it is, but our bees are never on it. I don't know why that is. It was the same with goldenrod. This field here was just full of goldenrod, and they were on it for about 2 days, I think, and then that was pretty much it. So like I said, in a lot of my videos, we never count on the fall flow, and this is exactly why, because this is our fall flow and there's just nothing happening. So that's why we go ahead and just feed. That's why we pull all of our supers off and just feed immediately. Okay, so here are these like lids right here. They do Propolis it a little bit, but if you just take your hive tool, they're pretty easy to get out. Now, one thing that's really important this time of year is making sure that we're not spilling any syrup, because the robbing is so bad. If I fill up a frame feeder and spill a little bit and it goes into the hive and then goes all the way out through the entrance, that's really bad, because then it's going to attract all of those other bees to the entrance of the hive, and then that's going to cause a lot of robbing. So spilling this time of year, we try really hard not to, and that's why we'll use like a gardening can to fill up the frame feeders, or just something that's not a bucket. That way we're not spilling too much. Another thing with buckets, bucket feeding is you have to tip it over, and I like to tip it over and then look at it and make sure that it's draining out, because sometimes these plugs will be sealed up with propolis, so you have to check that beforehand. But instead of tipping it over on top of the lid right here, I do it in the grass and then quickly move it over. That way I'm not spilling too much. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. But basically, moral of the story, try not to spill too much this time of year. But I just tip it over to make sure that it is draining and then quickly move it over on top of that hive. So there's just a little bit of spillage right there. And then over time, you'll actually create like a little circle right here and you'll know exactly where to put it. But anyway, that's pretty much it. So that's kind of what we're doing this time of year. There's not like, these hives look pretty good. If we have a couple hives that maybe just don't look super great, I'll go ahead and pull it from a brood from another hive, a resource hive, or we'll go ahead and combine them. But for the most part, this time of year is really just feeding. Also, forgot to mention, we are moving over to 2-to-1 instead of 1-to-1, because I think I talked about this in some of my videos, but when I was talking about it, I was talking about how we're only using 1-to-1 right now because we're just kind of trying to get them going a little bit and build them up. But now we're at that point of the year where we're trying to put a lot of weight on them. We want to get those top boxes to be, like I said, 70 to 80 pounds, really heavy, and to do that sometimes it takes 2-to-1. So that's what we're doing right now. It's pretty rare if we do 3-to-1, but anyway, so that's what's in this bucket here. We're transitioning to 2-to-1 and feeding that pretty heavily just to get them going. But I think that's about it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that on some of these and just check to see how they're doing, making sure that they look really good and they're full. That's kind of all this time of the year is. It's a little boring, but it's important, so we're doing it. And I think that's about it. So thanks for watching today's video. Follow along for more bee adventures and be here next time on Beekeeping with Natalie.